Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining this call. This call is for discussing new CI template architecture. Let me share my screen. So I already sent you a link of the Google Doc, so please feel free to write down if you have any comments. Yeah, at first I'm gonna walk you through why we are talking this topic right now. Like there are a bunch of problems and also like a future requests, something like close to GitHub Actions. So at first we're gonna walk through the current architecture, what's the problem, and then next moving to the proposal phase. So let's get started. By the way, if you have any questions, please feel free to interrupt me. So I think most of you guys know what CI/CD template is, so I'm just skipping this thing. And then it says previous architecture, but it's talking about what we have now today. So in the previous architecture, templates are managed in the GitLab Rails canonical repository. You know that there's a folder, this GitLab label GitLab CI templates. All templates are managed under this folder. And then these files can be included here, include template keyword, or directly copy paste from the UI picker. So here's a couple examples, like if user uses verify browser performance template into their GitLab YAML file as an extension, or like include template as a workflow, like actually AutoDevOps also works in this style. Well, AutoDevOps actually it's a bit more complicated that, and it supports implicit inclusion, though I'm not going to do that right now. And also we support UI picker, like when user visit the newly created project and then visit the repository, create a new file, GitLab YAML file, and then user sees this drop down that they can actually choose one of the files, the templates we are managing in this directly.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Shinya. I have a question. Is there someone who has not read the blueprint or does not know what the CI templates are? Because I feel like we might waste like most of the call explaining what the templates are, but everyone might actually know what they are already.
Yeah, it's just this is the intro, so I'm gonna go quickly. So yeah, like blah 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 blah. So so that actually I'm a CI template maintainer. Mattia is also currently CI template maintainer, and we see a lot of problems in this current architecture. Probably you guys might not know yet. So let me walk through the problems what we have today. So the first one is a control templates with versioning. So the templates in the local file storage doesn't have versioning information, of course. So user can specify specific version template with include a keyword. For example, like in the above case, like now I'm including the AutoDevOps template, though we can specify version of this. Always the latest template in the current repository is included. Actually, the current GitLab package, if it's version starting point or GitLab, then the template at that moment, and the 40.0 if at that moment. And also, users cannot specify a floating version templates with including keyword. This is basically versioning concept is lacking in the current template architecture. And the next point is that it can combine multiple templates. So there are no safeguard at system to avoid keyword confliction when multiple templates are included at once. So for example, like now I'm including auto DevOps template, and also can I include this like verified browser performance template? We don't know yet. It might cause a conflicting problem that each template overriding keywords each other and then cause unexpected behavior. So yeah, so there's no safe mechanism that template A and a template B can be combined and used a user's project. Yeah, so we are lacking kind of system level validation. And the third problem is that can't publish templates on their own. So actually, this became a problem recently that we actually received a community contribution from our partner, that they want to publish their templates with the technology, but since we are managing these templates in our repositories, they have to go through our community contribution process, like asking maintainer reviews, and it's so actually it was causing a lot of frustration, and so actually they were really frustrated, complaining that the process. So and then of course community contributors, partners, third parties, individual contributors, open source project, whatever it is, they cannot publish on their own. They have to go through our reviewing process to commit the files into this directory. So this is quite different from GitLab Actions, right? So GitLab Actions, user can publish templates at their pace. So and then it's super easy. Yeah. And then next problem is can't find a desired template. Users have no idea what templates are available for included keyword. So we can point a template folder in the repository, how this is not user friendly. So like if you are asked what template can I use today, you just point this directly, or like a specific future documentation. So like it's hard to understand. Can I deploy to AWS? Which template should I use? What this template means? What this template does? There are no summarized information. There are no metadata. Everything is just like a raw template file, maintained in this way, and maybe there are a few comments, but it's still hard to understand what's these things. So it's hard to find a desired template. So it's more like searching discoverability issue. And the next problem is that we can't keep maintain templates ourselves. So for example, we have these over maybe 80 templates here. And then, for example, C++ template, the last update was like 2 years ago. Nobody has maintained it. We cannot allocate engineering resource to maintaining these things. We just the update when it's necessary. We definitely need dedicated. We should ask someone who are dedicated for each technology, who are advocated to these things. We should ask them to maintain these things instead, as we cannot keep maintaining these things. Probably we add more, but yeah, that's a problem. The maintenance problem. The next problem is that it can't maintain dependencies in the same project. Maybe some of you know that templates is not just a template sometimes. For example, here is a auto DevOps auto deploy template. It has a bunch of review or like staging, deployment, canary deployment, blah, 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 right? Then you can see in the script that it actually doesn't have, the bare script itself, like the communicating Kubernetes. Everything, the scripts are included in this custom Docker image, which is maintained in the separate project. For example, like this. So this project is 100% dedicated for this template, just including script files. You can find it like super lengthy script file, so that we don't need to write scripts directly into the template, which is super hard to maintain. So actually, some of our teams already started moving to this technique that if your templates get complicated, just create a new project to build a Docker image that the bundles the bunch of scripts or yeah. So the problem is that this can't maintain dependencies. The templates, the project, GitLab canonical repository maintains and versions the templates, and then the other projects maintains their dependencies of the template. So, it's not streamlined, this release process. When we introduce a new, like when we create a new image, like adding a feature, we want to update this template in the release process as well. But at this moment, the developers have to visit at first the image project and the next visit to the canonical repository to update the auto deploy image, etc. So these templates are the image are tightly associated, but these are differently versioned, separately versioned. So that's a problem. And the last problem is that cannot avoid rollback on production instance. This actually happened recently. Like I said, templates always, latest one file is existing in the GitLab instance. And this template, of course, is included in a bunch of users' projects, though. If this template is broken by some reason, we ship the wrong merge request that break the YAML syntax or something, then it breaks all of the users' projects. It breaks all of the pipelines. And the SREs have to roll back to the previous version because the template in the GitLab instance is what's available for users. We cannot swap it quickly. So basically, these are problems. What are we having today? And so we are at the next, we are talking about the new architecture, the new proposal, what we should do. But basically, please keep in mind that these are problems, what are we having today. And then, sorry, let me add one thing. The product side from pipeline authorization probably might assist me though. Like basically they want something compatible, something similar to GitHub Actions. Like any users can publish the templates easily, and then it's available immediately in any projects. Yeah, that's also one of the motivations why we are talking this topic right now. Any questions or follow-up comments?
So there is a lot of questions in the agenda already. So I think that
Okay.
my questions are first. So I managed to read the blueprint, and there are parts of it that I love. Explicit interface, describing how to use templates, marking variables as required or optional. Like this is really awesome. So I just wanted to say that it feels great. I have a few questions though. Like the first one is with the new architecture of publishing templates as packages. Is that going to be a requirement to actually have an internet connection and being able to make outbound connections out of your instance on premises to actually retrieve packages maintained by GitLab organization?
Yes. This is kind of similar to the Ruby gem and the library, the package server. Like for example, Ruby gem. In that case, there's a Ruby gem org. There's a like central repository to that's popular, the pulled and pushed by anyone. And then typically when users create a Ruby project, they point to the repository. But technically, they can also build their Ruby gem server.
Yeah, I understand. Just wanted to note what Kamil is writing in the agenda already, that we know that there are organizations that are not willing to actually connect to the internet from the GitLab instance. It's hidden behind the NAT, and basically, they are not willing to retrieve anything from the internet. And
yeah. So I was thinking about that thing. Like currently, we are including the templates in the repository, so that we don't have that issue. But like thinking about that, any templates communicating to Docker Hub, basically Docker Hub, because like it uses Docker image, image keyword. So like, why not? It can, pull the Docker image from the Docker Hub, but they cannot connect to the GitLab.com for, pulling packages. Maybe they have the other dependencies in their pipeline script that pulling package from npm or like I said, Ruby gems. So like GitLab.com as a template library server should be also allowed in their organization. This is the current my assumption.
Yeah, so we might want to validate this assumption and cross-check with
the
product team. So the next question I have is, because for me, the current architecture of the templates, how templates work, feels like an inheritance. We want to inherit the implementation of a job or a set of jobs. Basically, we want to inherit the pipeline. What I like about GitHub Actions is that it feels more like a composition, that you can actually extend a single job. You can inject something into your pipeline without actually the risk of changing something that you have never intended to change. So that's the only suggestion I have about the next iteration. Thinking about whether it might be possible to extrapolate this new architecture onto the job level somehow, so that you can actually extend a single job without the need of inheriting the configuration and augmenting your entire pipeline. So I'm not sure how this could look like, but this is what I actually like about GitHub Actions, that it's very explicit, simple, and resembles more like the composition versus inheritance.
Yes, I totally agree with that. Like GitHub Actions will encapsulate the job definition. So one thing we cannot do like they do is that in GitHub Actions, they can actually use all files in the repository, in the action repository, but we cannot do that. Because when we include the templates, we don't include the whole projects into the jobs into the job execution. So what's available in the template is what's written in the template. It's our CI architecture issue, and then like maybe like we want to follow like something similar to what they're doing right now, but I'm not sure currently.
Yeah, okay, so thanks, Shinya, that answers my question. So the next one I have, sorry. The next one I have is about how we actually publish the packages, because I think that right now, basically a template is a simple YAML configuration, right? But eventually this might evolve into having a package, and inside the package, you could have batteries included, you could have scripts, assets, whatever you want. You can even have a script that is actually going to generate the template. Is that going to be possible with the way you suggest the packages are going to be published?
At this moment, I haven't thought about that yet. The package, what's included in package is just templates. Maybe like, for example, if multiple templates exists, then like combine the template, the merged one in the package file, so that releases the stress over the performance. But what I'm thinking about it currently is that something similar to Docker action, what they have. So basically, all templates publishers should create it. Basically Docker created Docker image that for including that scripts or assets, Helm charts, whatever things, like something dependency of the template, and then they build the Docker image and then push it to their published project, and then next publish the templates that tightly connected to the Docker image, so that that's what I'm thinking as a, you know, like what the package and the Docker image as a dependencies does.
I'm not sure if I follow entirely, but like we can talk about this in our cheapest asynchronously as well. So the last question I have is actually about the issue, because I saw that we do have an architecture task tracking issue, and I just wonder if this issue is related to what you're working on. If you know we are actually collaborating with James Johnson. Yeah, so basically it feels like this, you might not be aware that this issue exists, so I wanted to mention it here.
I haven't noticed it yet. Well, yeah, it's interesting issue.
Just wanted to, you know, mention that because there might be some work that other group is doing, and
definitely. I'm gonna pull him into the build script that if there any like a parallel work happening. I don't think so. Maybe Mattia knows that like something happening in around the pipeline authorization.
So no, we're just so the only discussions we had with the partner team, and that's to just get their thoughts on the needs of our GitLab like certified GitLab partners that want to contribute their templates, because the biggest problem with them contributing templates is template ownership. So they want to contribute, but if they contribute, that means we spend resources on maintaining them, and that is not scalable indefinitely. So the only insight I have from pipeline authoring is that we talked with the partner team and they want something. So their idea is similar to what Shinya had. So their idea was to create like to evolve the templates into each template being a package of sorts, and then having a registry of templates, similar to how GitLab instances can have private Docker registries. We could have a template registry per GitLab instance.
yeah, anyway, so Shinya, you might want to reach out to James.
Yeah,
so, you know, double check who's working on it.
Yes, definitely. Fabio, you want to talk about that? Your point?
Yeah, so this is it's more like a question related to kind of going back to the basics, like what is a template, and you know we can, like, a template for now is just like some configurations that you can include, and these configurations are going to be merged with your GitLab CI YAML. And so while certain principle makes sense when including a template, or including some configuration that sits on the same local repository, it might not make sense when developing templates. So it feels that with templates, there is some kind of guidelines or like a different way of implementing it. Or at least like depending on what kind of style of template we want to use.
So
I
for
know
the
there is like they call workflow templates that you might drop something like a workflow rules on the top level of the YAML file, but there's some other templates where we might not want to leak the configurations like at the top level that would affect other jobs down the line. This is probably the problem we have. Like, can I use safely this template with another template? If a template is implemented in a way where all configuration is self-contained, like into each job, and a job has everything it needs, there is no top-level configuration that might leak with confuse or other configuration, then it should be safe. So in a way, it's like, do we already have some guidelines, or do we have like an idea whether we want to convert these templates to use this guideline, so it makes it safer to use these templates like in the future as well?
So for the GitLab managed templates, we have this guideline. So this actually described what some sort of what you said, here's like basically we differentiate templates into two types: pipeline templates and job templates. So this pipeline template is more like the pipeline template provides an end-to-end CI/CD workflow that matches the project structure, language, and so on. It really should be used by itself project that don't have any files. This is something like language, like a Grails or Gradle language specific template. It has end-to-end workflow from build to deploy, build, test, deploy. And then the other, the job template one is, like you said, it's more encapsulated, that it doesn't have top level keyword. It does only certain tasks, maybe only typically one job, or maybe a few jobs. That is like designed to be included into an existing CI/CD workflow. Users have already authored along GitLab YAML file, but they need to extend their workflow, so they just include the job templates. In this like Manchester case, I describe these types differently. I describe it as a workflow template and then a task template. Yeah, but basically the same. And then there's a guidelines that you in the job templates you cannot define it global keywords, blah blah blah. So yeah, there's a guideline here. And then what I'm thinking about that, I'm in a daily template maintenance. We want to, of course, do this thing like automate. We want to write the tests at first. You want to write the tests to automatically investigate these things daily pipeline. But also I was thinking that we should enforce this in user organization as well, so that when user combines their templates and our templates, then there are no conflict issues, etc. So this is a to be honest, the first point originally we are thinking about it, we just adding I don't know the testing jobs for our templates what we have today, but I was thinking about we should extend the concept to like system level validation to validate everything what's considered as templates. So yes.
You have to commit.
Kamal, you want to summarize your point?
I like it's more like a note. to this point, like the guidelines is one thing, but like discoverability of like what is overwritten, overlaid where, by what. If you have like many levels of the includes, including templates, it's pretty hard right now. So this is like the clear UX problem that it's like if you use extends includes, it's really pretty complex to figure out what is overwritten where and by which. So that's like one point.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's also the reason why I think that sometimes composition might be better than inheritance, but it's a broader discussion that might be required here.
Yes, and this is probably like related to my point and the second point, which is like currently templates include into project, into CA YAML. And maybe this is the problem. Maybe like templates should be defining different type of tasks, like as Justyna proposed, which is like a workflow. So you never include a template. You just use the template. You just specify parameters, but this template is self-sufficient and it's guaranteed to be working as long as you specify parameters to use. Then you have a second level, which is like you implement a specific task, which is, let's say, RSpec job or whatever else, and you include that into your project, but you include that into a specific task. A specific task could be like some kind of security scanning. A specific workflow would be like auto DevOps, which is like you run, I don't know, using dependent pipelines. But for tasks like a security scanning, you don't really maybe need to run dependent pipelines in like a lot of cases. And the third step, or like the third case, is like what Grzegorz mentioned, like it's actually like a step of execution within a given job. So like you have your own processing, but for example, you add a step that executes a notification plugin or anything else that is part of your job. And this is actually like each of these are actually like a templated definition that you can include is self-sufficient. You cannot extend because I think like from what I'm hearing, like a lot of problems comes from the ability to extend today. And this is exactly what Grzegorz mentioned about the composition. So if we would not allow to extend, but rather configure and compose, maybe like this whole problem of like managing templates and like all of these problems of how they are written would simply go away because they could be written in any way that you want as long as it works.
So I think it's interesting because there is a parallel discussion about auto DevOps and the problems we have with auto DevOps that makes it very difficult to extend. It's very inflexible. And if we decided to make templates a workflow that is self-sufficient, like auto DevOps right now, it makes it very rigid sometimes and difficult to configure. So how can we combine the composition with workflow in a way that you can actually have a workflow, but it's very configurable through an interface, not inheritance. Like this is, just difficult.
Could it be that sometimes it depends on how the template somehow, the template not in terms of like a single YAML file, but in terms of like the action or the problem it's trying to solve is designed. For example, for auto DevOps, we could have a workflow template that says it just includes this and everything works, but there's not much customization you can do with it.
What about having an auto DevOps workflow template that consists of other templates that are smaller granularity?
Yes, exactly. That's what I'm trying to say. So you can have like a workflow template, but you can also have, as part of auto DevOps, that you can include only specific steps that you want. You might not be, you only want the deploy part, for example, and you can include that template or that portion of template.
Yeah, auto DevOps template is kind of similar to what you said. Like it's already has a bunch of job templates in the, and then it's basically has a like minimal things at the top level template as a top level template, the variable stages workflow. So actually, I also realized that one of the problems with the task template is that stage is fixed. How do we treat stages? For example, this template includes the review job in the review stage, but the user might want to insert it into specific points like before this job or after this job. Basically, we're gonna do this even today because this job task template has the stage itself as a literal value. So in that sense,
So I feel like there are a lot of there is a lot of uncertainty around how a template should look like, how granular configuration should be, and how flexible it should be. And I feel like what we have right now served us very well because it allowed us to actually understand what the problems are, and now we can iterate. And I wonder if we could actually find the most significant problem we have right now and fix it as a first one to iterate on the whole
Yes.
architecture. And I wonder if the biggest problem we have right now is the lack of an interface for a template, and that there's no manifest of a template, no versioning of a template. But this is something we would solve in the first iteration.
Manifest means like what template, this template spec, right?
Yes,
so what template does,
yes.
what type of variables can be specified for arguments, etc. Yeah, that's interesting. And actually, I saw Fabio's proposal that in his proposal, it's kind of similar to GitHub Actions that we should put the manifest file in the top level of the repository. On the other hand, my proposal is that include the template spec, the template metadata into the template itself.
Can it be like a middle ground, like neither one or another, but encapsulate the template inside the directory? And this way, it will be something in between. It's not one repository per template, but multiple templates per repository and a manifest in each of the directories in the repository. This way, we could actually extract all GitLab templates into a separate repository. We would have one repository with GitLab managed templates, and we could extract one or multiple of them when we see fit and when they are actually going to outgrow the single repository.
I'm kind of asking, like, why keeping a single monorepo with the templates is a problem today? Because like I'm kind of like hearing that like we want to move that away, but the question is like, what is actually benefit of doing that?
Versioning templates, I guess that right now you can have only one version of a template. That's the biggest thing on the top of my head.
But isn't it actually like that? I mean, so far, like versioning wasn't really like a case that like you could, like the versioning of the templates would be associated with the version of the GitLab that you are using, because like the template would naturally evolve with the GitLab evolving and the version of the GitLab. So
but
then,
I think
but you won't be able to lock your config to a specific template. So let's say you just want to use an auto DevOps template to specific version 1.0, and you don't care whether it's going to be improved later on, or at least you care, but you want to upgrade like safely, and you don't want automatically changes to leak into your CI. So you want just lock to a specific version. So the problem I have the way I see it, having one repo, of course, well organized with this directory structure and all templates organized that way. The problem is that there is only one version. So if we have version 1.0 and then we introduce a new template, we have 1.1, and then if we change an existing template, we bump the version to 1.2. But then for that template, nothing changed between 1.1 and 1.2. So why should we, in a way, use the same tag or same versioning mechanism for multiple templates? It could make things very confusing. Like, why do I need to bump my version of template? And then when you look at the diff, actually there's nothing changing for this specific template because just another template in the same repo changed.
I mean, there is also like the problem that like versioning is like a moving target. So let's say you stick to the version of 12.0 GitLab of a template, is very unlikely. It's very likely that like in the 6 months from now, this template will simply not work anymore because some configs change, some images got updated, and all of like dependencies are really like out of date. So versioning
Isn't
is
that
like
the
the
same
tricky-
problem? Isn't that the same problem as with gems, for example? Yet we lock to a specific version because we don't want we do want to have reproducible builds, for example, right? So how is that different from gems and other dependencies?
It's I think it's exactly as you are saying. It's the same. Just the question. It's like the difference is like in the sheer size of the dependency that you are including. Gem is usually very small, so it's very easy like to maintain that this continues to compile.
I
But
would
now
say that auto DevOps is much bigger than most of the.
I know, but like auto DevOps now depends you on something like 20 different Docker images that you intend them to be working properly. Or like security scans is actually also the same. They depend on a lot of Docker images that you expect them to work. So yes, the problem is the same, just like the severity and like how easy it is to maintain that is like different.
Are you saying that we should not version templates? Because I'm not sure I understand what you are suggesting.
I'm not saying that we should not. I'm saying that like we should figure out like reasonable way of versioning that can be maintained. And so far, like reasonable versioning is like free past releases, basically.
So I guess that we could detect how far behind is a template version you are using, and we could warn users in UI showing them like you are using an outdated template. But I feel like versioning is also required to break compatibility. We might want to bump a major version of a template if we want to actually do something differently. Right now, it's not possible, and we are stuck with this infinite backwards compatibility problem we have in the CI since like years.
Yeah, that's the other problem. Like, at what point, if we have everything in one project, at what point do we bump the major version? Is it one template changed radically and then we just bump the version for the entire repository? So the kind of proposal I was suggesting is to have like one template per project. Have one project and put templates in it, which doesn't mean that each project must contain one file. It means a project contains a README that it has the documentation. It gives us like an ability to independently version and reuse what we already have without implementing another versioning mechanism on our own that works within a project. It can also allow other users that they don't implement or make changes to our GitLab managed templates, but anybody can create their own project and treat it like a template, and anybody else can include that project, use that project from that template from that project. So I feel like if we put everything in one project, GitLab project, then other people can't create like a new templates. So they need to open a merge request to GitLab, and we still have to go and manage that. While we can still have our own GitLab managed templates, but also allow community contributors to just evolve, create their own market.
Like, don't get me wrong. I feel like we should make it possible to keep templates in a project, but that we should also make it possible to keep multiple templates in a project. Like these are not mutually exclusive strategies.
Yeah. So what one thing I was hinting earlier, like a template, like a project template, might not just contain one single file that you include. It could be, let's take the auto DevOps. If we put it into different in a different project. So the auto DevOps, you can decide to include the workflow template of auto DevOps, or you can decide to include just the deploy job of auto DevOps. So you could also have like several files within that template. In a way, a template means a very specific template project means like a very specific problem that solves. And then you can either include one specific version of it. Each template project can have its own CI to check its, or can have like an example project in it. The other example, Shinya, you showed earlier, the auto deploy image. We have like an auto deploy image project that sits somewhere else, and the image then is compiled and then is reused by somewhere else. Well, we could actually have the auto deploy template project that contains the code for the Docker image that is automatically compiled and uploaded to the Docker registry, and also provides a YAML file that you can include. So I think this way things are kind of much more organized in a way. We can have like a README that gives you all the various ways you can use this template. But I'm not sure, like I'm still, thinking of it, just to figure out whether there are things that don't make sense. But the principle is, can we try to reuse as much as possible what we already have? Which means we could have the same capabilities of using templates without using include template keyword, but actually include project that we already have today.
Yes, but like then the project works only within the same GitLab. How like our customers will use them on premise?
Yeah, so we did have this kind of conversation. Like, do we, like for GitLab managed projects, GitLab managed templates, do we create like pre-create like a group with the project templates like on self-managed, so anybody in self-managed can have access to the same templates? I'm not sure about that. Like what it would be. But what do we want to allow to have some kind of a mix between include project, include remote, you know what I mean, where you can actually have an ability to pull template from a different instance if you want.
It's actually interesting because we had initially a separate repo for a template that would then be like imported into main repo, and we moved that away from that design because it was actually additional maintenance burden into like a single repo, and now we are discussing moving away from that. So
because of the versioning problem.
So then the question is like, is it like the main problem that we have, and like how we want to solve the versioning? Because like from the points that I hear, like is like versioning, ability of our customers to contribute to the templates. Presumably, separate project would make it easier. What are the problems we are trying to solve?
There is also the pipeline editor that want to integrate the template better, like a better UX. Like I'm writing a Rails app and I want to search for all the Rails tagged templates. So show me on the sidebar all the templates I could actually use. So I can maybe pick and choose some of the stuff. Each template, maybe on the sidebar, you can show a documentation that tells me how I can include this or what parameters I should provide. And
yeah,
So-
we already, yeah, I don't know if it's built already, but we're already working on a template dropdown for the pipeline editor. So you're going to have a list of all available templates. You're going to be able to search for them there.
So I think it's also with the next architecture, can we have like this pipeline editor feature that also supports not only GitLab managed templates, which could be, displayed as featured templates, but also community contribution. So anybody can have their own template that is published and I can reuse for my own project.
I think we today have a feature that you can configure a designated project that can serve to like with additional templates, and this is administrator configuration.
What do you mean? There's a project can have.
If I remember correctly, there is a feature at GitLab in the admin area that you can configure a project that can be additional source of the templates to be used in the system, like excluding the bundled ones, including the bundled ones and including also these external stored in the repo templates. Let me check that. I think I saw this kind of feature.
What would be the advantage of keeping the two styles? Would it make sense to then translate the existing templates into a project that is enabled to be used as a template?
Then my question in that model is like, how you gonna pass that to the on-premise? How you gonna deliver your updates to the on-premise when user can also, like someone on the on-premise can modify this repo? How are you gonna merge that? Or is it like also desired to be merged?
Yeah, this is one of the disadvantages that I listed there in the architecture blueprint. I don't know, like maybe we need to have like some way where to import template as what do I say, as a mirror. Import template as a mirror from GitLab, and then you might be able to get all the updates and point to your local version of it. I know it sounds kind of not as nice, but perhaps we need to have like a different include mode that can allow connecting to instances. I'm not sure, like which one makes sense, like from the point of view of iteration.
I'm kind of thinking that, like, in any words, what Grzegorz said, ability to describe the template with some kind of manifest seems like the best first step. Because like then, like we are tasked, because like this model should basically work with the vendor templates and external like search from repo templates. About the behavior, I think like right now, if you configure a repo template to have the same name, it's very likely that it's gonna overwrite a bundled template and it's gonna be used as the first one. So on-premise already has some kind of function to change what default templates are being provided. I'm actually looking for that configuration. But I'm pretty certain that there was some kind of feature for that.
So are you saying to put all templates into one project?
I'm saying I don't really see like right now like a big benefit of moving from a single mono repo. That's like my concern. Like I'm hearing like the versioning problem, but it's also like we currently have a single version, which is latest. We don't have any versioning. So maybe like what the question is, like what we can provide compatibility of. Maybe like we always have the version which is like logged to the major version of the GitLab. Let's say V14, V14, V13, V14, V15, or whatever, and also latest, something like the version latest. I recall that like we discussed it somewhere in some issue. I think presumably also with Shinya. And like at some point, I think Shinya mentioned something. So maybe we just introduced two versions, which is like a stable and development. to kind of
Yeah.
solve the backward compatibility changes. Because like I think that there are two major aspects we want to solve with the version, like ability to provide new features and ability to and also like with changes ability to remove features from the most recent template and ability to provide fixes to the older templates that we are still supporting. Today, all of that is a single bucket, effectively.
And another benefit is to allow users and customers to actually log to a fixed version. And this is really something that, is important if you want to have reproducible pipelines that do not break whenever you upgrade GitLab. And I feel that it's actually, there are a lot of benefits of having a separate repository with templates where we would have a separate directory per template. I agree that we would still have one version, like all the templates in there would have one version, because we could only we cannot tag separate directories. We can only tag as a whole repository, but it still seems like a significant improvement to the current state. I also agree that this is not something without challenges and problems, so we might need to figure it out, but basically it feels like it's a significant improvement, provided that we also work on the metadata at the same time.
Well, what is so if you move all the files to one single template, one single project, we still have the problem of how do we make this template available on premise?
Yes.
And if we update one version, so I think from having one single project to have one template per project, there's not really big difference, right? In terms of pros and cons. Oh, well, actually, I can see more pros because things are more separated. More
could we bundle this repository every time we release GitLab? Like we could make it a gem, for example, or something else. But basically, there should be a way to solve the problem of sharing that with customers and users in a way that they do not need to actually reach out to an external repository or a package manager every time they want to retrieve a template.
Actually, I'm thinking that this problem is really relatively minor. That I'm basically against including these things into your own premises, packages. Rather, we should on-premise instances to pull the template catalog and raw data from the GitLab.com or whatever central server, and then on-premise server should cache it. Maybe like a workhorse, it'll be a workhorse or somewhere that to prevent the unnecessary network, the connection happening. So this mode is definitely like we need the product input, like if it's a level or not. But and basically like introducing more GitHub action like architecture that users can search the see the packaged template catalog and search by any keywords or any tags. Specific keyword. If they put AWS, and they see the all available AWS related templates, some sort of that. This has much more benefit than like protecting the on-premises cases.
Okay, is that possible to install GitLab with some packages already being in the package management feature of GitLab? Because you can manage multiple different packages with GitLab. There's Conan for C++, there is dependency proxy for Golang. There is a lot of different packaging solutions. Is that possible to install GitLab with some packages being already in your local package store, or however we call that, package catalog?
Maybe there's a like sync script. Maybe we can provide our reg task or something. But I would assume that the package, template catalog on GitLab.com should be, much bigger than we expect. That I'm really looking forward to seeing that, external contributions would happen more, to like encourage them to publish their, templates that maybe like that empowers our CI features more. So yeah, I'm basically focusing on that point rather than paying attention to on-premise this specific problem, to be honest.
Also, regarding making templates available on self-hosted, do we want to really make available all templates that are accessible on GitLab.com? Because we might have community contribution templates that are being published on GitLab.com, but a self-hosted catalog would not need to have access to all these templates. Also because it might be dangerous. There could be some security problems there using like how do you say, like a non-approved template. So I feel like that the templates we want to make available on self-hosted are still relatively limited, the number, or at least as iterations. The problem to solve is let's make available the same templates that are currently available on self-hosted at instance level to make them available somehow on self-managed.
So also in the future, we would like to involve with some of the publishers that to verify their templates, like your project, your partners, or your templates are verified by us. So like it's more reliable than the random templates that published by random contributors. So like on GitLab.com, we would like to maintain these things as well. Maybe like we implement a feature to, GitLab also administrators can do that. I don't know how it's going to be like, but basically this is pretty much same with GitHub Actions. That's well, sorry, it's time, so I think we should go. I'm going to summarize what we discussed today, and then definitely appreciate your feedback in this blueprint template. I'm such a blueprint merge request to push this forward more. So if no one have any other comments, I would close this session. Okay.
So maybe last final comment. I'm personally not convinced about like the packages style. Also, like Fabio mentioned about the security aspect, like these templates actually require more scrutiny from us. If they are under our name, they actually need to be to some extent managed by us and provided. Like Docker Hub actually has like this library type of the repo, and they actually kind of goes like through more stricter validation of the templates. About like the about
preventing Bitcoin mining.
Anything, like it could be like you just like if someone sees a template, it's already assumes that this is something that is like tested, which is maybe not always true right now, and it's also secure. So if our on-premise, and like we distribute a template for our on-premise, and like one of our on-premise customers uses that, which could be stealing some, let's say, anything from their server, it could be actually like the problem. We didn't really have the security issues yet with that, but this is additional attack vector. Manifest, actually, this is pretty tricky because like we can also improve significantly discoverability of templates if you would simply use manifest and docs.gitlab.com as a way to search available templates and their configuration from the like described manifest. So there's also some ways how we could improve the current workflow today. And I also like found this. We have custom GitLab CI YAML template, which actually allows you to define a project that we use additionally for templates. That's it from me. Thank you, Shinya, for awesome preparation.
Sorry, I couldn't catch what you said last. You have a like specific link or something? It's in a Docker.
Yes, I will link you later with that.
All right, cool. So thank you for everyone joining the call. We still haven't decided the first step what we could take, but it's a interesting conversation. So yeah, let's have a async call. Thanks.
Thank you, Shinya. Bye-bye.
Bye.